Well, here I am again. Ready or not. Excuse me about that start, but it's the Midnight Skeptic again, and regardless of popular opinion, I'm going to keep doing this until this country, perhaps the whole world, will become a progressive, loving paradise. In other words, we have to eliminate all the Republicans in the world. It's a joke, but here's my play-in music, ready or not. You are listening to KPCA LP, Petaluma, California, at 103.3 FM and worldwide at www.kpca.fm. And this is the Midnight Skeptic. The views of the Midnight Skeptic are not necessarily the views of KPCA or any of its affiliates. Okay, with the intro out of the way, this is the Midnight Skeptic, show number 47. And on the radio, it's going to be broadcast this coming Sunday, the 19th. And I'm recording it now on Thursday. This is Thursday, the, 16th. Okay. And like I said before, my views, the views of the Midnight Skeptic, should well be the views of KPCA LP 103.3 FM or Petaluma Community Access. And if they're not the views of those people, what have I been doing this for the last 5 years for, if not to change a few opinions here? Okay, so the views of the Midnight Skeptic damn well ought to be the views of all my listeners out there now worldwide. And if you have some gripes about what I say or you don't agree with me, please send your thoughts and hate mail and death threats along to me here, the Midnight Skeptic at gmail.com. That's all lowercase, all one word. I'll get it. And I will either put it on my recycle pile with my paperwork, but I'll deal with it somehow. Okay, shout outs. And I'm going to try to go through this real quick because I got a lot of miscellaneous items to talk about on this episodic show here. Okay, my international people, I've picked up one fan, I guess you could say, from the Czech Republic, so that's new. A couple in Germany, a couple in the UK, Ireland, Australia, and New Zealand, and Mexico City. All of those people are listening in at least every now and then. Okay. The East Coast people, Geraldine Goldfinger on Long Island, Hidar Doktor in Raleigh-Durham, North Carolina, and then further on south in Florida, Nelson and Alice, and Amelia Beamer in the Edgewater town on the Atlantic side of Florida. And East Coast did that. Okay, Arkansas, Shannon Reed. Keep your head down. Dodge those tornadoes. Okay, Arizona. My brother Brandon and his wife Mina and their daughter Andrea, who's a nurse near Santan Valley. I forget the hospital. And her husband Tim, retired Marine. Thank you for your service. And their 3 little terrorists who are growing up before my very eyes. Keep sending those photos on Facebook. Okay. And Southern California, Jackie, Aunt Jackie. All right. She listens now and then. Okay. Locally, Stan and Kathy down in Pacifica, Richard and his wife Kathy Richard Berger, in Sebastopol. Okay, locally, Nariman. He listens every now and then, Tom and Nancy Throw. And up in Sacramento, we have Dave and Rosita Takach. And then Mickey Huff, the godfather of Project Censored. I gave everybody the title of the latest book that's coming out. They come out once a year and talk about events that didn't quite make the news, or the news presented it in the wrong way. This is what Project Censored is all about. Okay, let's see, what else? My sound engineer, Dennis Murphy. I think we got it all. Oh, Mexico City, Rosie Lopez Negrete, and then the rest of the Sonora crowd, Bob and Sandy Fisher, and Martha and Brad. Martha, take care of yourself. I'm going to be seeing you in a couple of days up there in Sonora, so don't come down with COVID. Wear your PPEs. I think in this country, we're taking a few steps back on this battle against COVID-19. People are spending more time indoors since it's the wintertime. And I know that Republicans in general are pissed off about this, but you really should wear your masks. They do help. They don't prevent the transmission of COVID-19 entirely. Nothing is 100%, but just care for your neighbors. Wear your masks. Okay, and I want to, today, I finally broke down and bought the 1619 Project, and for the YouTube people, I'm going to hold it up. There we go. This is the book that Republicans fear. They're all got their shorts in a knot about this CRT thing being taught in our schools. Well, it's not being taught in our schools. It's just, it's ridiculous. But if Republicans can gin up their base in anger, well, they're all for it. Okay. The 1619 Project was conceived and created by Nicole Hannah-Jones. She's a writer for, among other publications, the New York Times. And it details how this country got on its feet and was successful largely because of the slaves that we imported and bought from Africa. I've gone into what really is CRT and what is not CRT. What CRT is not is things being taught in our schools, high schools and grammar schools, and even lower division college courses. None of that is CRT. CRT is a upper division or graduate level course about laws, the legal system, the economic system, the sociological system that any country has to maintain a dominant strain of the people in power. Okay, and that's all CRT is. At one time or another, there was critical class theory, critical feminist theory, critical LGBTQ theory, although it was not called that at the time. But those are the marginalized groups in our society that our laws, our economic system, and our sociological system in this country tried to keep down so that white guys enjoying the fruits of the patriarchy could prosper. Okay, that's what CRT is really all about. Okay. Again, I'm off my notes already. Already? Jeez. Okay. Uh, okay, Republican sickening quote of the week. I could almost turn this into a weekly part of my rant. Okay, the quote is: "Women are earthen vessels made by God for one purpose, to make babies." Okay, now who said that? I'll give you a hint. He's a Republican. He's very young. He's a representative in our House of Representatives from North Carolina. Okay, if you haven't guessed, it's Madison Cawthorn. He's the representative from District 11 in North Carolina. And he said this on the 3rd of this month on the floor of the House of Representatives. Ah, boy, and he's 26 years old, very young to be elected to that. But you have to be 25 in order to be a member of the House of Representatives. Well, he's right now 26, so I guess he won his seat at the age of 25. Okay. Voter fraud update. Okay. Republicans, members of the cult of the orange bloat bag, just cling to this notion of the big lie that Joe Biden won the election. They don't believe that. If they're cornered by a competent reporter or a journalist, most Republicans will say, well, Joe Biden is the president now. That's kind of an innocuous statement. But they will never, ever, ever say that Trump lost the election. They will never say that. Okay, voter fraud update. Okay. The theory is that there was just too much voter fraud in this country in the 2020 election. Well, there was some minor incidents that amounted to voter fraud. Most of these individual incidents, dare I say, have been Republican. Okay, and I think I've mentioned a couple of them. John Fetterman, the vice governor, I forget what his actual title is, but he's running for Senate now from Pennsylvania. And he sent a letter to the Texas assistant governor, who had put up a $1 million reward for people turning in people who voted incorrectly or fraudulently. Well, they caught one guy in Pennsylvania, and he's in jail now. And what he did was vote once, and then let an hour or two go by, and then put on a pair of dark glasses and some kind of a baseball hat, and then went to the polling precinct again and attempted to vote in his son's name. I guess they have the same name. One of them's Junior. But anyway, the poll worker remembered this guy and had him arrested because this guy was going to vote again for Trump. Anyway, John Fetterman from Pennsylvania sent a letter to, I should have written this down, Dan Patrick, okay, the assistant governor of Texas, claiming that, let me collect on my money. Well, Fetterman was sent a $25,000 check. That was the maximum that they could be rewarded out of that $1 million let's make a deal thing from Texas. Anyway, all right. 3 residents, this is a completely another fraudulent voting case. 3 residents of the Village's retirement community in Florida The Villages had a couple of Trump rallies before the 2020 election. That was, I don't know. I guess the older senior citizens in the Villages that's Trump territory. I'm sorry to say that, but I guess it's true. Okay, 3 residents of the Village Retirement Community in Florida were just charged with voter fraud and arrested for casting multiple votes in the 2020 election. And here's their names: Joan Halstead, Jay Kettick, capital Ketcik, and John Ryder. Those are the 3 older people that live in the Villages. They are all pro-Trump Republicans. Well, whoever caught them at this should write a letter to Dan Patrick and demanding a cut of that $1 million reward that he put up for evidence of voter fraud. The fact is that, and I didn't come up with this figure, but other journalists have done this for me. The rate of voter fraud is 0.000018%. Now, I forgot the number of zeros exactly, but it's minuscule. Certainly not enough to sway the election one way or another. Trump and his bootlickers in the Republican cult just cling to this made-up notion that the big steal actually took place in 2020. Okay, enough of that. There's no voter fraud in the 2020 election to speak of. It's minuscule. Okay. Now this is a different topic now. My anti-religious screed. My eyes grew hopeful when I read this. According to the Pew Research, roughly 3 in 10 adults are now, this is a self-reporting survey, by the way, are now religiously unaffiliated. Yay, nuns. That's the category that is the fastest growing in this country out of all of the myriad denominations that there are in this country. The nuns are soon going to forge ahead. Yay, nuns. N-O-N-E-S, not N-U-N-S. Okay. Okay, I got to mark the passing of a lady that should be more well known than she is. I got to take a sip here. My throat is becoming dry. Okay. Her name was Bell Hooks, and that was a pen name. She was born Gloria Jean Watkins in Kentucky. But she went to college, and she eventually became a professor at Yale, at Oberlin, and then she ended up, I believe, when she retired from being a professor, at UC Santa Cruz. She was one of the leaders in disrupting the, okay, now this is a long hyphenated phrase, imperialist, comma, white supremacist, hyphen, capitalist, patriarchy. And that kind of sums up what she was against, as am I to a large degree. We don't, we're working on, I'm working on, and others of like-mindedness to me, are working against um, living in a patriarchy. And by patriarchy, I mean married men, wield power over the family and in other areas of life. Okay, let's see. I wrote some notes in the margin here. Oh, one of her first books was entitled Ain't I a Woman? Okay, check this out. I have not read that book myself, but I'm going to go out and get a copy soon. I just bought this copy of the 1619 Project. Okay, if you're of an extreme lefty bent, which I am, you should be familiar with the term intersectionality, which bell hooks was. And by intersectionality, they mean that there's a number of groups that do not wield power on an equal basis as white male patriarchs. And I listed them all, or she listed them all in this article I wrote. But gays, minorities, the disabled people, and white supremacists and capitalists. I'd have to call her a Marxist, which is, to me, a compliment. Although I have my own personal gripes with Marxism. But anyway, bell hooks passed on December 14th at her home in Berea, Kentucky. And Berea College, which is right in it's in the town of Berea, but it's located sort of in the middle of Kentucky. And it's a liberal arts college. And I haven't looked up Berea College to actually see if it has a specialty or if it's started out as an all-black college, which a lot of them did. So I don't know. But anyway, she went on to get her PhD and became herself a professor. Okay. So I hope that the afterlife, whatever it is, treats you kindly, Bill. Okay, let me readjust my notes. I think my life needs to be readjusted. So, okay. The president of, okay, now this is a whole new topic now. The president of California's Medical Board, which issues licenses and disciplines doctors, says a group of 4 masked men, ski masks, confronted her in a parking garage. Now, this is in Marin County. And I'm sorry, Contra Costa County, Walnut Creek to be specific. Her name is Christina Lawson with a K, Kristina. And she's the former mayor of Walnut Creek, and then she was appointed by to the California Medical Board by Governor Jerry Brown. This is before Gavin, and she said she was concerned when she noticed the 4 men in a white SUV parked in front of her house, and a drone was flying overhead. And, well, she had to go to work, and she's with a law firm over there, Henson, Bridget, and something. Anyway, she drove to work after taking her kids and dropping them off at their school, and then she went into a parking garage. Well, the white SUV was right there, and these 4 guys got out with some cameras and recording equipment, and well, understandably, she's quite worried about this because they know where her home is, and they know where she drops her kids off to school, and she knows, or they know, where she works. Okay, Lawson said the men ID'd themselves as representing America's frontline doctors. Okay, now maybe they are affiliated with America's frontline doctors. Maybe not. Maybe not. Anyway, that's what she said. They said after she called the police, and they came into the garage, and these four guys said that they were just recording her, whatever that means. And I guess there's not really a law against that. Anyway, they were not arrested, but the police, the Walnut Creek police, are aware of them, and they didn't explicitly threaten her, but she's a mom and dropped her kids off, so naturally she's worried about this. Okay, America's frontline doctors. Now, maybe they're part of them, maybe they're not. That's just what she said. Okay, and America's Frontline Doctors is a group of doctors, and I'm holding up the finger quotes. That group was founded by Simone Gold, a physician from Beverly Hills, and a Trumper. And she came into prominence, if you can call it that, when America's Frontline Doctors staged a news release in front of the United States Supreme Court, and this happened. Let's see, I wrote the date down. When was it? Excuse me for just a moment. Anyway, it was in 2020, in July. It was right in the middle of the Trump candidacy, Trump election of 2020. And, man, my notes are so out of whack, as is my life, actually. Okay, America's Frontline Doctors, founded by Simone Gold, and she was arrested at the January 6th insurrection, where all the Trumpers stormed the Capitol building. Beverly Hills doctor arrested, and America's Frontline Doctors spread misinformation about COVID cures. Remember ivermectin and hydrochloroquine? Well, that's their preferred treatments for COVID. They are anti-vaxxers. Okay, and down in Marin County, 2 Bay Area businesses have been threatened recently with being torched if they continue to follow the COVID-19 protocols. Well, everybody has to wear masks in indoor sites where there's a lot of people now. And this is like yesterday. If the vaccine mandate is not lifted within 1 week, this place burns. That's a notice that was left on a health gym. I forget the name of it. Oh, I did write it down. Body Kinetics Health Club in San Rafael there. That note was left. Okay, the note was placed on Saturday, December 11th. Also, another threatening note was left at the Paper Mill Creek Saloon in Forest Knolls. That's right near the little town of Lagunitas, where Lagunitas Brewing got its start. And I've been in the Paper Mill Creek Saloon on a couple of occasions. It's a nice, innocuous neighborhood bar. There actually is no other neighborhood in Forest Knolls except for the Paper Mill Bar and Inn. Let's see. Anyway, they got a similar threat from from somebody. Police don't know who left those threatening notices. Anyway, the California Medical Board has to date taken no action against Simone Gold, the founder of America's Frontline Doctors, even though she has been fired from 2 hospital jobs since her news conference at the U.S. Supreme Court. Oh, here's the date of that. It was July 28th, 2020. There was a dozen or so doctors, all resplendent in their white lab coats, a couple of them with their stethoscopes around their necks. Okay. In researching all of this stuff about America's Frontline Doctors, do you remember, when the orange bloat bag was still president? He got this black doctor, originally from Nigeria. Her name is Stella Emanuel. She was the one who was really pushing hydrochloroquine as a cure for the COVID-19. And of course, the orange bloat bag fell for it and got behind it himself. And then another one of these physicians was Joseph Ladapo. Now, what's he all about? Well, the governor, Ron DeSantis of Florida, has just appointed this guy to be the Florida's Surgeon General. And he misled the public and others, I guess, in Florida who were researching him by saying that he has dealt with many patients with COVID-19. Well, that's untrue. According to UCLA, where he worked in the UCLA Medical Center for quite a while, I forget what his actual specialty was, but he was left off of COVID-19 treatment doctors. Okay. And speaking of COVID-19, I'm sorry to say that we have passed the 800,000 mark in COVID-19 deaths. One thing that kind of concerned me, okay, and this will lead me into another topic, when looking up the California California Medical Board, which licenses physicians, they said they licensed allopathic physicians. Okay, well, what is that? ALLOPATHIC, allopathic doctors. Okay, and I went off on that, and it's a term that I had heard of before, but its origin was in the invention of, development of homeopathy. Let's see. And it was, okay, let me reshuffle my notes here. The allopathic doctor by Samuel Hahnemann, Hahnemann. That's the guy that developed homeopathy, which is a totally bogus treatment, drugs, whatever you want. And to call himself and his students and other practitioners of homeopathy, they call themselves homeopathic doctors. Okay. Well, he invented this allopathic doctor's term to distinguish them, meaning scientifically justified medicine versus homeopathic, which is not scientific at all. Okay, boy, I have notes about this stuff. Maybe I should look at my notes once in a while. Come on, Murph. Read your notes. Okay. Osteopathic medicine. Okay. Homeopathic, osteopathic, and allopathic. Allopathic are the real doctors. Scientifically trained in Western medicine. Okay. Osteopathic medicine was founded by Andrew Taylor Still, Still. And what osteopathic medicine does is correcting problems with the body's structures could help the body heal itself. Well, maybe, maybe not. Okay. Still, the osteopathic guy, believed the spine sends nerve signals out to all the body's organs and can make you sick. Now, does that sound familiar? Does chiropractic ring a bell? Yeah, there are a lot of nerves that emanate, well, originally from the brain, but then they travel down the spine and then go out to the parts of the body. Now, not all bodily organs have nerves that go through the spine and out to it. Some of them have nerves that go directly from the brain to the organ. So, okay, let's see. I'm off my notes again. Still believe the spine sends nerve signals to all the body's organs, most of the body's organs, and can make you sick. He developed osteopathic manipulations with a goal of restoring the nerves to a healthy state and promoting circulation so the body could heal itself. Now, I'm not making this up. I researched it and online, of course. I don't have a doctor of osteopathy textbook here. Okay. Osteopathic doctors pay extra attention to the musculoskeletal system, including the nerves. Okay. Osteopathic doctors that treat the whole body. Well, okay, that's just a catchphrase that means essentially nothing. OMT. Okay, that's what they do. And that stands for osteopathic manipulative treatment, OMT. Myofascial release. Now, the fascia is a thin membrane that surrounds all your internal bodily organs and your muscles. So your fascia can become inflamed now and then, or just is not doing its job in general. Osteopathic manipulative treatment. It's kind of a fringe medical treatment, and I'm going to get hate mail for saying that from osteopaths. But if you're suffering from some illness or some disease, go see a real doctor, an MD. I don't know of any MDs that call themselves allopathic doctors, and that's what troubles me about this article I looked up about the president of California's medical board, which Christina Lawson is, because they use the word allopathic in describing the licenses that they give out. I guess they want to distinguish themselves from homeopathic or osteopathic medical groups. They don't issue licenses for that. They have their own bogus groups. Okay, let's see. Allopathic, coined by Samuel Hahnemann, and in 1842, this one source said that's when he coined that term, when he developed osteopathy. But another source, I go to other sources whenever I can, they said it was 1810. Okay, well, still, it's quite a long ways ago. He was the founder of homeopathy. Okay. Allopathy means Western science-based medicine. Okay. Well, there's two things. Okay. Western scientific medicine would have us wear masks and get vaccines for COVID-19. Okay, well, this America's frontline doctors, okay, I'm going to say it. They're quacks. And I don't know. There, I said it, and I believe it. So go see a homeopathic doctor or an osteopathic doctor at your own risk. The Midnight Skeptic has warned you. Okay. All right, another complete topic here. Okay, transgender athletes are once again being targeted by hateful Republicans. The cult of the Orange Sociopathic bloat bag, MAGA heads or conservative Republicans, they are nothing if not bullies. Here's something that Tate Reeves, that fount of knowledge, the Mississippi governor, said, and this is recent, quote, "I will sign a bill to protect young girls from being forced to compete with biological males for athletic opportunities," he goes on. Okay. And this is a continuation of his quote. "The push for kids to adopt transgenderism is just wrong," unquote. Now, I've never run across this term transgenderism like it's a religious belief of some sort. Well, Tate Reeves is I would imagine, a Southern Baptist. I don't know for sure what his religious is, but he's a Christian of some sort. Okay. And I've gone into this transgender athletes things on 5 or 6 different shows, going back into the history of the Midnight Skeptic. But here's the thing. Well, what set me off here is South Dakota's Kristi Noem, Noem. She's a Republican from South Dakota, and she issued an executive order in South Dakota banning K through college trans girls from sports. A sweeping, mean-spirited executive order, just targeting transgender kids for sucking up to her base, or the cult of the Orange Sociopathic bloat bag. I gotta get a nickname for Kristi Noem. But anyway, her executive order, and this is South Dakota, executive orders 2021-65 and 2021-06. If you want to Google those things and look them up, be my guest. I wish you would. Okay. Let's see. Okay, I told you what Tate Reeves has said. Okay, here it is. Before puberty, the distance in athleticism between boys and girls is inconsequential. A number of researchers have come to that conclusion. Now, when puberty does set in, and if a little boy, before his puberty sets in, has been suffering from gender dysphoria for the majority of his life. Excuse me, time check. Yeah, still got time. And if the parents are hopefully loving and accepting of his condition that he seems to have, which is gender dysphoria. And they want to, with the kid's permission or encouragement and the parents' encouragement, if he wants to start taking puberty blockers, then they should do that. And it should be right before puberty sets in. Okay. Puberty blockers block testosterone. That's one of the main things that it blocks. And then there will be no testosterone advantage to a trans girl who, was born a guy. So athletics should not be a problem. Now, the World Athletics Association, IAAF, wait a second, I got to get my magnifying glass. Okay. They have established originally, along with the Olympics Committee, a level of testosterone in your bloodstream. It used to be in both the World Athletics Association and the Olympic Association, 10 nanomoles per liter of blood was their original cutoff date. Because there are female athletes, I'm not talking about kids now, female athletes like Castor Semenya from South Africa, that world-class sprinter. She has a condition in her body, and it's not that rare to where her body produces a lot of testosterone. Okay. Well, Castor Semenya is biologically, with her sex organs and everything, she's a woman. But she has this condition which does promote muscular growth in her body. Well, boy, she suffered a lot for her desire to run track. Okay, now, the World Athletics. Now, they're the ones that sanction track and field events, cross country, and other athletic endeavors of that sort. They've since lowered their levels, allowable levels, to 5 nanomoles per liter. The Olympic Committee has not come around to that yet. But what this all points to is South Dakota's and Kristi Noem's sweeping ban, and it's from kindergarten through college. Trans girls, it's a complete ban on trans girls from sports in South Dakota. The South Dakota legislature originally passed a bill to that effect, banning kindergarten through college trans women from competing on girls' teams. Talk about overkill. How many kindergartners do you know that have started puberty? Well, I don't know of any. But that's just an example of Republicans hating on a group of people because they can. Because transgender girls, or guys for that matter, are not a really big voting bloc. And Republicans, conservatives, MAGA heads, followers of the orange bloat bag are nothing if not bullying to constituencies that are not very numerous. Okay. A couple of good news things. Okay, all right. I've got about 8 minutes to go on my weekly rant Okay, well, here goes. I've got a bunch of good news now. All right. First bit of good news. The New York Metropolitan Museum is removing the Sackler family name from all of its 7 spaces that were named after the Sacklers throughout the institution. Now, if you don't know who the Sacklers are, they are the people that whose rather small drug company came up with OxyContin and as a painkiller, and then promoted it and promoted it and promoted it. Purdue Pharma, it was the name of the company, and they would bribe doctors to prescribe this for painkillers. I know it's hard to wrap your mind around doctors accepting bribes. Well, they do. Not all doctors are like Marcus Welby, that good guy doctor from, I don't know, it was back in the 70s that I watched a few episodes of him. But anyway, the Sacklers, although they are billionaires now, they have promoted the overuse and overprescription of OxyContin. And consequently, a lot of people died because of that. Okay, another bit of good news. New Zealand plans to ban all cigarettes incrementally. Starting in 2023, anyone under the age of 15 would be barred for life from buying tobacco, buying cigarettes. The Associate Health Minister of New Zealand, Aisha Verrall, capital Verrall, said in Parliament last Thursday, like a week ago from today, and this is a quote, "People aged 14 when the law comes into effect," and that'll be in 2023, "will never be able to legally purchase tobacco." Oh boy, I'm clapping for that. I've said on many of my shows that tobacco is just an evil weed that should be just wiped off the face of the earth. Okay, another bit of really good news here. The ex-Richmond, California police chief, Chris Magnus, capital Magnus, was approved by the Senate to become head of Customs and Border Protection. We heard a lot about them during the 4 lost years of the Orange Bloat Bags administration. CBP, Customs and Border Protection. Well, he's been appointed to be head of that. And he got confirmed, and here's the vote in the Senate, 50 to 47. Well, you got one guess who those 47 nay votes were. Republicans, MAGA heads, conservatives, doofuses. Okay, now I can just guess what their reasoning was, the 47 nay votes. He was the first, or he will be, the first openly gay commissioner of the federal government's largest law enforcement agency. He dramatically, when he was the chief of the Richmond Police Department, he dramatically brought down the homicide rate in Richmond, and he reformed the police department. Now, the Democrats that clung to that bumper sticker, "Defund the police," that was a big mistake, because that just gives Republicans ammunition to use against the Democrats. Instead of defund the police, it should be reform the police. Well, Chris Magnus, appointed chief, did that. He reformed the Richmond Police Department. And what he instituted was community policing. And a lot of, well, in fact, all police departments should adopt community policing, that model, as a way to make their cities safer and crime-free, or crime almost free. But anyway, that policing model, I would encourage all the police departments out there, any policemen listening to this rant, take that back to your bosses. Let's see. Okay. That's it for now. Remember, go out and buy this book. I'm holding it up to the YouTube people who can see it. Okay, I'm exhausted from all this ranting and raving. So that's it for another week, and I'll see you next week sometime. Let's see, what's coming up? Well, it's kind of the Christmas season, I guess. Let's see. We'll be recording the next show for next week on either Wednesday or Thursday, to be broadcast on the 26th. And according to my desk calendar here, that's the first day of Kwanzaa. And it's Boxing Day in Canada. I'm not quite sure what that holiday is for, but in any event, here's my play-out music. You have been listening to The Midnight Skeptic on KPCA LP, Petaluma, California. And we're at 103.3 on the FM dial, and worldwide at www.kpca.fm. Support community radio at patreon.com/Petaluma Community Access. And remember, think critically, think logically, but live joyously, and most importantly, pet your cats. Okay, here's a quick quote. I think it's 58 minutes right now, so I made it. But real quick, and I'm going to repeat this quote on the next show. You only live once, but if you do it right, once is enough. Well, who said that? Mae West. So I'll leave all my viewers and listeners with that thought. I agree with that wholeheartedly. Okay.